Welcome to Global Media Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swido. I'm speaking today with Greg Ferron. He's the CEO of Canada's PTX Metals. Greg, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Nice meeting you. Glad to be back.
Your company, PTX, you guys have two flagship projects. They're both located in Northern Ontario. And today we're going to zoom in on a project called W2. It's located near the so-called Ring of Fire, which is an area known to be rich in mineral deposits. I understand you recently obtained an additional exploration permit for W2. So, Greg, could you give us a quick overview of the site, what's there, and potentially how much is it worth?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good, Michael. Yes, so the permit was received several months ago, and what happened is we've consolidated quite a large copper project through a number of acquisitions, and there was two main deposits that were drilled by past operators, mainly Inco and Aurora Platinum. And we had it was quite an interesting transaction. We had the whole property, about 250 square kilometers, but right in the middle was the higher grade, best drilled deposit by Inco, and there was another owner. And after several years of negotiating with them, we eventually closed the transaction. So we had the greater part of the property already permitted. And then, of course, we had to then go and permit the main deposit. And so that's now closed and it's permitted and we're financed. And that's where our use of proceeds from that financing is going to go to primarily focus on drilling that CA zone, we call it. And we issued an exploration target, just speaking about the size of it. And it demonstrated two deposits at surface, shallow drilled at about 1% copper equivalent. So it's a combination of copper, nickel, and precious metals, somewhere between about 100 million tons. So that's 3 billion pounds of copper equivalent. So it's a fairly large project in the northern part of Ontario.
Wow, that's a lot of copper. And it's over a pretty big piece of land. I mean, W2 project is about 220 square kilometers. It's adjacent to a site owned by Barrick Gold, so that's got to be pretty good. And as you mentioned, it's potentially rich in copper, nickel, and precious metals like gold. I understand you guys recently completed a high-res airborne magnetic survey of the project. What did you learn from that?
Yeah. So the reason we did that is a lot of the historical work, as mentioned, was done, several decades ago. Most recently, work was done in 2000, 2005 timeframe. So technology's changed, as you're aware. So we used, we did a mag survey with a top operator that's done a lot of work in the region for other operators like Wyloo, for example. And that just gives us, new data, new information to help target and understand the resources of the project and where we can expand it. So we are receiving the data that week, and that'll be part of the process that we put in place for this upcoming drill program in March of this year.
Fantastic. So late last year, PTX Metals, you all closed a 3.5 million Canadian dollar placement. The company also won a $200,000 Canadian grant from the Ontario Junior Exploration Program. Congrats on that. How exactly are you going to use all these funds?
Yeah, correct. So most of the funds are going to go to this W2, the copper nickel project we've been talking about. We will allocate a portion of it to our gold portfolio in the Timmins camp. We actually just completed a drill program at our Heenan discovery in Timmins. So those results are pending. And then a lot of the proceeds are going to go to drilling the CA zone, because I think there's been a lot of historical work. As we can confirm and expand on those historical results, the market will start pricing in a lot of all that historical work, where there is about 20 to 25 million spent on the property. So I think it's a very good return for our shareholders. And then we'll do work like the mag survey. We'll do some IP to help show the expansion potential of the project. And we'd like to do a small drill program at our Shining Tree project, where we found that very high grade gold vein last winter.
Fantastic. PTX Metals has also been building up a portfolio of projects that could potentially pay it royalties. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah. So over the last several years, the markets have been tough. We have been acquiring different projects, as you know, like W2. We put that together over that past couple of years. Our gold portfolio in Timmins, called Shining Tree, we expanded some neighboring project and brought in a partner. And we've also been acquiring royalties along the way and equity positions. And ultimately, what I see happening as these projects get advanced, now W2's at that resource stage through that acquisition. And as we move that project forward, I expect the infrastructure to come in that northern part of Ontario, and I think it'll be a very valuable asset, W2. And then these other assets eventually I see for the royalty portfolio, that equity position we have in a uranium company. Ultimately, that'll create more value through we could diversify through a sale, for example, and then the proceeds from that sale could be put into exploration at our gold and W2 project.
All right. Well, always good to have more sources of revenue coming in, particularly when you can redeploy it and you have, assets where you want to redeploy that. Speaking of assets, I want to look at the financial side of the equation now. PTX Metals underwent a 4-for-1 share consolidation in September. Your stock then enjoyed a really strong rally in October. Greg, I'm curious, tell us, why do you think investors should take a fresh look at the company? Why is PTX Metals a stock to watch?
Okay, well, thanks, Michael. The reason I like the stock is one, it's an all Ontario portfolio, so there's a real push to develop, which is already a strong region, so great jurisdiction. We've got a very diversified portfolio, as you're aware. We've got a very interesting gold projects in the Timmins camp, where we've had a number of discoveries, and then we've got our flagship copper, nickel, precious metal project in the northern part of Ontario. We issued a large exploration target, which is similar to a resource estimate, demonstrating a very large potential resource at surface. And then there's a lot of value in the shares as well, trading at about 15 million market cap. The company is financed to complete its next level of exploration activities. And I believe as Ontario puts in more infrastructure in the northern part of Ontario, as they've continued to do over the last several years, again, this project will get increased in value, and I believe could be a takeover target for that copper project.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate that update, both that update, the financial one, as well as your perspective on your project there by the Ring of Fire. Interesting as well to hear about those projects that could be bearing royalties or that you may sell off in future. And we'll definitely look forward to more updates from you. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
We've been speaking with PTX Metals CEO Greg Ferron, and you've been watching Global One Media's Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swido.